Once upon a time, netizens treaded carefully because they dreaded the possibility of exposing their personal lives to millions of other social media users, regardless of the platform. Now, this fear was not even so much about people's reactions as it was about their digital footprint. You know by now that the internet never forgets, and so people have lost their jobs or job opportunities, potential sponsorships, and brand deals because of some flimsy posts they made long ago. I'm sure you're wondering why I started with once upon a time, because of course, every sane person should know that that's how it's meant to be. But unfortunately, not everyone is sane enough to see things the way, because even though they know the right thing, their desire to go viral and by a stroke of luck get some fleeting fame from their posts supersedes their moral compass or whatever is left of it. Hence, the need to talk about digital footprints today on the show. This is Fafanwa Africa, and this is a show where we spotlight the challenges that the youths across the African continent face, their possibilities, and of course, their opportunities as well. My name is Blessings Musugu, and I will be your host for this 1 hour. So sit tight, relax, as we take you through 1 hour of blissful conversations. There's a new trend. We listen, we don't judge. And that is one of the trends that scare me the most, because people expose themselves, their partners, their family, their friends, all in the name of trends. Now, you hear the most ridiculous things and you wonder, shouldn't this be a secret? Your secret? Anyway, we'll use that as a case study today, because that's like the recent trend that we've seen. And joining me to discuss this, first I have Sandra Anyaebi joining us virtually, a psychologist in Lagos, Nigeria. Thank you so much, Sandra, for joining us. Sandra, can you confirm you can hear me, please?
I can hear you loud and clear. Thank
Great.
you so much for having me.
All right, thanks for joining us as well. All right, also joining us in the studio, we have Eunice Eze, who is a digital creator. Thank you so much, Eunice, for joining us as well.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure. And we have the only gentleman in our midst for this conversation, Gabriel Odunsi, Programs Manager and Tech Societal. Thank you so much for joining us, Gabriel.
Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure. All right, so I would like for us to dive into the conversation. I think I want us to take some of the trendy tweets before we continue. If we have the tweets now, I'd like for us to take it now so we can use that as a basis for our conversation. So we're talking about the trend, we listen, we don't judge. And this is one of such trends. Wow. This person says, I once sold a product for 17 times the price, and it was still affordable for Nigerians, LOL, meaning laughing out loud. Another one says, one baddie for my department say how we go feed me for 2 months. I go a hostel, go steal am sharp. Don't judge. That's another one. This one says, I always stare into the eyes of a male beggar before I say, I swear to God, I know they give you shishi. And this one says, I once dropped 100 naira as offering and collected 500 naira change later. Can you see? Now, this one says, I used to laugh silently whenever I led worship and people fall, quote unquote, under the anointing. There was a day I was leading worship and someone entered the spirit, quote unquote, and ran out of church barefooted. I almost choked on laughter on the altar. I'm having goosebumps as I'm reading this. Now, this person says, I stole a phone to school only for it to be stolen from me in school that same day. Dog. I know if you now say I did find phone because of course, na still am. Now this one says, I know I have some health issues, but I don't want to get them checked out because I kind of hope they unalive him. Okay, so I think we've gone over that. So this one says, when my dad died, all my uncles stole his farm and property. I was very young by then. Of recent, one of the daughters of my uncles got in an accident and wanted blood, but the hospital didn't have. I'm O positive, but I refused to give her blood and watch her die.
My gosh.
Another one says, I highly prize my relatives when doing business compared to others. This one says, I have a son with my stepmother, and the kid keeps on calling me dad. His dad and me, his big brother. Okay, calling my dad his dad and me, his big brother. So we see how twisted these trends are. I mean, this is not just a surface trend anymore. This is dark. We're talking life and death. We're talking infidelity. We're talking theft. We're talking so many, it's a broad spectrum, and one would wonder, how exactly did we get here? By the way, all of these tweets are under the umbrella of we listen, we don't judge. And this trend has been going on for a while. Eunice, if I'm not mistaken, it's been going on for a long while. Now, I'm going to start by asking it because I'm very curious. What could have gone wrong? How did we become these people with no holds barred and no sealed lips? Like we say the darnest things and we expect that it's just forgotten. It just goes with the wind. Let me start with Sandra.
Right, right. So how did we get here? I think it's more just this need for recognition. We want our voices to be heard. Everyone wants to feel heard. Everyone wants to feel like they are part of the conversation, right? And it could be a lot of factors actually. We could start looking at it from our childhood, the way we grew up, our family members, our upbringing. But fundamentally underneath, you see this need to belong. You see this need to, because most of these people can't come outside to say some of these things that they have just said. Or even though there's some people using their real accounts, you also see that some people use their burner accounts for conversations like this, simply because they want to feel heard, they want to feel among, they want to feel like, oh, we don't judge, I have the bigger, gist and things like that. But ultimately, it just still comes down to that need to want to feel like you have a bigger story to share. People have to hear you, your voice matters as well. Because there are a lot of people who growing up didn't have that opportunity to use their voices, and now it just seems like, okay, I mean, social media gives that freedom of expression, so why not use it, right? And I think that's one of the biggest reasons why a lot of people actually do these things, because the truth is, like I was reading somewhere, someone said one of the things we lost in the last decade is shame.
It's shame.
Some of us have thrown that out of the door a long time ago, but the truth is that beyond all of these things, there is that need for validation, that need to be heard, that need for your voice to be listened to, and for you to just belong to the conversation itself.
Okay, let me go to Eunice. You are a digital creator, and I'm sure that you've seen these trends, right? These are, like I said, these are very unbelievable tweets that we just read. Again, I'm going to ask you the same question. How did we get here with the need to seek for validation? We're saying the most incriminating things that can ever possibly be said.
Well, to be honest, I would say a lot of us, we don't know our values, right? Because when you don't know your value, you just jump at anything. Just this quote, I don't know if it's popular, but I heard someone say it. If you don't know who you are, you will just take whatever definition that people give you. So a lot of people don't know their values. They don't know, okay, this does not align with my value. I mean, you can never see a tweet about me on, like, regarding certain trends. I don't follow trends, right? Because I know what I want. I know the kind of person that I want to be in the future. And I don't want to do something that my future self will look back and be like, wow, I really did that. So I feel like a lot of people jump on these trends because they don't know who they are. They don't know their personal values. They have not discovered their purpose in life. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Eunice, for that. Gabriel, let me ask you, from the side of the government now and law enforcement, I mean, we're seeing people confess to murder. We're seeing people confess to theft, to suicidal attempts. Isn't this something that we're supposed to take up? I remember, was it last year, a story of an influencer who was killed, allegedly killed by her boyfriend. The guy came online to confess, literally, and he's still at large. They haven't caught him. He's out of the country. The family is still trying to get justice. And the fact that he confessed on social media with thousands of viewing, you would think that the law enforcement would take that up and try to track him. But till now, we haven't heard anything. And we look at people confessing to things all in the name of following trends. Isn't that something that we should take up, the law enforcement should take up, at least to serve as maybe to scapegoat this ones, to teach the other ones a lesson that you don't just come out and say things. We're not endorsing, bad behavior and crimes, but the fact that you committed the crime is one thing, and then coming out to confess it again, thinking you can just go scot-free is another. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree with you that the government or the law enforcement agencies should do something, but I also believe that they would explain to you that they have their jurisdiction and modus operandi, like their mode of operation. So if let's say a case has been reported to them, they can take on it, but sometimes there has to be a precedence before they can jump on that case. And even when they, yes, you said that there are evidences, they have to do their own find or fact checking before they can jump on such cases. I also believe that they would probably have something internally, because I don't know how they operate or how they do their investigation. But I also agree with you that when maybe they should have a department that tracks information, that understands when crime is being committed and follow up with those crimes. But I also believe that there would be ways by which they operate to handle crime within their own units, which is left to the government to handle.
Right. Okay, Sandra, as a country, do you think that we do not do enough to regulate the kind of information that goes on social media? We've heard people complain time and time again that these apps themselves do not even help. You know, they push some of these kind of content that should not even be allowed, and some of the other contents that are not even as harmful are being regulated. But as a country, shouldn't we have regulatory bodies that kind of restrict or fact check? I remember there was a time that there was a conversation of regulating information on social media, like policing information, and people got really upset. But looking at the things that we're doing now, is it not something that we should consider at least?
So I agree with you to a large extent. However, I always like to approach things like this from an individual perspective, because regardless, as a country, as as a people, it's still a cultural thing, but beyond that, we also need to address it from an individual point of view. If you are able to pay attention to what you post, what you talk about on social media, and your friend also is careful about what they post, what they talk about on social media, and just that same way, even yourself, when you're able to call each other and say, hey, this thing, it's not, can you take it down? It doesn't make sense. It's not on brand for you, of that nature. Just like the other lady you mentioned just a few moments ago, it's also a value thing. So the moment that you have that value for yourself, you also have that same value within your friendship circle, within your family circle, for people who are really close to you. We're able to check each other. So I don't think it's more just a country thing, because we tend to take things from a holistic point of view. And when we're looking at them in this manner, that just kind of takes away the responsibility. But when we as individuals, you know where you're going. You want to be the president of the country someday, or you want to be at the you're going to be at the UN at some point. You're gonna have to check what you post online. You're gonna have to check what you do. So I usually like to approach things like this from an individualistic point of view. From okay, how am I posting? How am I showing up on social media? What part of myself am I presenting here? Is this the most authentic version of myself? Do I want all my information out there? And if you have people who are really also into that responsibility, they also are able to check you. And if we actually have to do that as individuals, ultimately cut across the entire country, and then everybody is able to actually check each other. These things, they kind of become maybe a little bit more checked, for the lack of a better term.
Okay, thank you, Sandra. Okay, let me ask Eunice. Now, I know that trends have always been a thing for a long time, but I think it became more pronounced during the COVID-19, where especially on certain apps like TikTok, many people would jump on some dance moves, some slow motion moves. Till now, I don't even understand why they do some of these trends. But in the long run, I would like to ask, we've seen a lot of the disadvantages of these trends. Some people even jump on trends for just belonging sake. It's not because they're, at least we understand that some vendors use the trends to sell their market.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, do these trends have any advantage or benefit? And if it does, do the disadvantages not outweigh the advantage at this point?
Well, just like you said, the only advantage I would see is when vendors use it to sell their businesses. Because one thing about the algorithm is when something is trending, people interact with it, they make those videos or those contents go viral. Do you get? That's when contents go viral. So if I post a content now and many people don't interact with it, don't comment, don't like, trust me, the algorithm is not going to share that content, whether it's good or it's bad. Do you get? But when another thing is when you are popular, like you can see the video displayed. Even if nobody interacts with her content, it's going to go viral because why? She's popular, like she has a following, she's verified and whatnot. But to be honest, I would say the trends have more disadvantages than advantages because personally, I don't do trends, right? I know the kind of content I'm creating. And if a trend doesn't align with it, I won't do it. I don't even think I've seen a trend that aligns with my values. So that's why I don't really do trends. So yeah.
So let me ask you a follow-up question, Eunice, about this video that is being displayed. I don't want us to get the audio of this video because honestly, it really is rated 18. And you would wonder, because these people are people that they are influencers that should uphold values, that should influence good character, good behavior in the society. But sometimes they do or say things depending on the kind of trends that will make, and when you see their videos, like you said, Eunice, they're popular. So most times they get, when people are popular, especially in this part of the world, you mostly find yes men among them, people that can't tell them the truth. Oh, this is not something that should go out. This is not something you should post. And at the same time, you see younger generation, the people who, when I see some videos, I mean, everybody has that moral compass. Your initial response is, I don't think this should be out. But when you now see the comment section and you're saying, yeah, go girl, yes, hey, you said this, and then people are laughing at it, you now see the people of the younger generation saying, oh, if she did this and she didn't get backlash, then I shouldn't. That's why you hear some young people, when they come out and dress a certain way and people are coming for them for how they dress, you will see them referring to, oh, this person did it and you didn't say anything, but now I'm doing it, and then you're saying. So what would you say is the impact of influencers? What role would you say they play in enabling or even promoting some of these trends that normally we should not be seeing around?
Well, the thing is, I wish influencers knew how much influence they had on people that love them, on people that follow them. Trust me, I can go and see a movie at the cinema because my fave is in that movie. Right, most of the movies I've seen at the cinema is because Nancy Sime is there, and I love Nancy Sime a lot. So if only these influencers know how much impact and influence they have on the people that follow them, that watch their content, that interact with them, they would know that, oh, if I do things right, trust me, a lot of people will do things right too. Right, just like if you notice, like I mentioned Nancy Sime, when Nancy Sime posted that, okay, she got her house, it inspired me too, because I'm like, oh, a lady can get her own house. Do you get? So that means I myself, I can do that too. So influencers have a big role to play. Aside the fact that you're just like the other lady, I think her name is Sandra, right? She mentioned that it's a personal thing. You need to take the decision that, okay, I am not going to jump on this trend. And if these are my values, I'm definitely going to attract friends that have such values. And if we start checking ourselves, like I check on you, you check on me, okay, this content is bad, this content is good, right? And it cuts across the country. It's still going to like help us cut down on the impact, right? So influencers have their own role, and we as ourselves have our own role.
Right, okay. Let me come to Gabriel. Gabriel, why do you think that people feel the need to conform to these online trends, especially if it means compromising their values and integrity? It just feels like it doesn't matter anymore.
Okay, I'm going to use an example, like why people conform. So we just moved into the new year and there's always Christmas. So Christmas comes with chicken. People are pressured to buy chicken because it is Christmas. It's the same way where there's an acronym, FOMO, FOMO, fear of missing out. People want to participate in a thing because they've seen other people doing it. Yeah. So sometimes the urge to do overrides their thinking faculty to see the consequences that comes after doing. So people just jump on trend because they don't want to miss out. Oh, this is what the world is doing. I really need to be a part of it. Or this is what people are doing. So I think it's just the fear of missing out in such trend that they are unable to see if it is going to affect their own personality in the future.
Right. Okay, back to you, Sandra. Now, we've gone past the stage of be careful, like they say in the Nigerian parlance, because the younger generation, like we mentioned earlier, have now fully embraced the social media kind of lifestyle, and they've jumped on every possible trend. At this stage, whose responsibility is it to recall this before it has a ripple effect? Do we say it's the responsibility of the parents? Do we say it's the responsibility of the government? Do we say it's the responsibility of the influencers? Already we know that they're not doing a good job at influencing a good lifestyle for the younger generation.
Right. Like the social media trend also said, my collabo, it's a collaboration. It's something that we all have to put our hands into. I was mentioning something about how the social media use and people just, this need for validation. It's because they see their, say, influencers, for example, and the influencer is making a lot of money, or so it appears on social media. And they automatically assume that the likes, the comments, the shares, and everything is what is attracting the money or also making them relevant. So what they do, they also are joining this trend and doing all of these different social media things just to get that same thing. And this just simply releases more dopamine, which is the reward system in the brain, and there is no stopping it, right? But when it comes to actually curbing this entire thing, we need to figure out a way from childhood, from when these young people, when they're really, really young, navigate how they're using social media. What are they on? What are you seeing? Just yesterday, I saw a video of a lady complaining that her son, who is very, very young, was just watching a video of his favorite cartoon, and only for the child to, just walk up to her in the room and hug her and say, "Mommy, I love you." And she was like, "Okay, I love you too." The next day, he did the same thing. Weeks in, kept doing the same thing, only for him to come and say, "Oh, Mommy, I don't want you to." And she was like, "What do you mean?" So I was like, "Oh, what I'm watching, they said I should you." And she was like, "I don't understand. What are you watching? Let me see what you're watching." And she started to go through and she saw everything, what the video was talking about. And this was a cartoon telling the kid what to do and how to go about it. So even the things that we allow our young people to watch, especially children particularly, because they have such an impressionable brain at a young age, it's so important that we're able to curb it, both as older siblings, parents, teachers, family members. But if you're allowing your children on social media, what are they seeing? What are they watching? Do you know how long are they spending on social media? Even influencers, yes, we know that maybe they might not be doing their job right, or they might not be doing the moral thing sometimes, but it still doesn't take away the fact that we still hold them responsible. We hold parents responsible. And also when we teach our young ones social skills, we've lost a lot of things. Before, as a young child, you are in your home, you are playing with, I don't know, you're cooking outside, you're playing the whole cooking thing, or you're flogging imaginary students. But kids these days don't even have any idea what that is anymore. So, and this ultimately begins to affect their social skills. You find young people who are not able to communicate clearly, young people who are not able to hold conversations, who are not even in their real world, more than the social media. So if we all put our heads together and work together in ensuring that young people cultivate the social skills, and less on social media, monitor what they are doing on social media.
All right, Sandra.
I think it would help the most.
All right, thank you for that. There was a little bit of glitch in your network, but I hope that we can resolve that shortly. Now, I do agree with you 100%, and even while you spoke, there was a video of a trend of some girls in a school, definitely maybe a secondary school, doing the trend, and that video went so far that it kind of implicated the school, and they had to come back to apologize. So, but beyond, let me come to Eunice now. Beyond the social media trends, right, we've seen cases of online bullying, defamation, misinformation, and Sandra did mention how this affects the social media users. How do you think that some of these very serious cases also affect those in question? The cases of defamation, where you just come online. We've seen cases of people who accuse celebrities just because they want to get noticed, and then they give them very heavy accusations or misinformation about something, or people get bullied online that might even lead them to become suicidal. So how does this affect the people?
Well, so for the first one where you said people just come and accuse influencers or just anybody because they want to trend, it still goes back to where I said they do this because they don't know who they are, they don't know their values. Because trust me, if you know who you are, you would know that everything takes time. I'm sure you will see influencers now, they have, millions of followers. You think they woke up today and got millions of followers? Like, I'm sure they stay working like 5 years ago. Okay, let me use, there's this brand on Instagram now. It's called Hello Paparazzi. It's like a wedding content creator. It's owned by Sunshine Aloha. Like, we were classmates in secondary school and we've kept in contact. Now, Sunshine started like editing videos way like 6 years ago, 7 years ago. And from last year to like now, her brand is doing well on social media. Somebody will come down and say, oh, Hello Paparazzi is making great content and all that. She did not start last year. She did not start 2 years ago. She started over 6 years ago. So a lot of people don't know that building online presence, building a community, building a following takes time. And then for the people that like just drop harmful comments and whatnot, I always say this to my friends, people reflect their insecurities and like their way of life through comments. If you are telling me in my comments, oh, I'm foolish, it's because I'm sorry to see you are. You get, because it takes one foolish person to know another foolish person. You can't see my comment on somebody's post and it's going to be like, I'm going to insult somebody and whatnot. And I've always told my friends this thing, that if maybe I eventually become like a celebrity and whatnot, I will not respond to these comments, because I feel like you are not happy in your home. That is why you just open your phone and you say these things to me, because I'm very certain you can't say this to my face, right? So like, these are my points on this issue.
All right. Very quickly, I'm just going to ask Gabriel before we go on break. How do you think we can prevent all of this? It already has a huge impact on individuals, and if care is not taken, like I mentioned earlier, it can also lead someone to become suicidal because of all the bullying and misinformation and defamation cases that we see online. What would you say, if you were to prefer a solution, what would you say would be that solution?
Okay, it goes a long way. Like, first thing first is education. Education to the users, education to people who create content. The kind of content you create has a lasting impact beyond how you've created it. And people who use social media also should understand that when you go there, there is a way to act responsibly. Also, there is also the responsibility of the platforms. So our platform is being designed, our platforms, how they regulate, in quotes. Regulation, I don't mean how they shut down people, how they restrict freedom of expression, but in terms of, so when there's a content that is being harmful, how do you respond to it quickly to shut it down, take down? And there are several comments or several instances where someone is being bullied online, and you are reporting on the platform, and the platform, because platform responds to algorithms, and when a thing is trending, it will take a while before you can put out that thing, because it is creating it's creating a trend for the platform itself. So so the responsibility of educators, parents, educating people, and also platform also being able to understand the impacts on the people too, and being able to pull down content that are harmful as soon as possible.
All right, thank you so much for that. Okay, very quickly, we'll go on a short break, but the conversation is nowhere near done. We're talking about the impact of some of these social media trends, especially on digital footprint, and how that affects the incoming generation. So stay with us, it's still Fafana Africa. When we come back, the conversation continues. Many thanks for staying with us. It's still Fafana Africa, and today we're still talking about the digital footprint, and we're using the trend "we listen, we don't judge" as our case study. We've seen very horrendous tweets by people just because they want to follow trends, and we've been talking about that, the impact it has, why people feel the need to do that, and generally what the solution can be. I still have my guests with me. We have Sandra Anyebi, a psychologist who's joining us from Lagos, Nigeria. Thank you so much, Sandra, for still being here. We still have Eunice Eze, who's with us in the studio. She's a digital creator as well. And we also have with us in the studio Gabriel Odunsi, a programs manager at Tech Societal. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for still being here. We're still on the conversation. And I think it was Gabriel that mentioned education, and we're going to get to that, digital literacy. But in the meantime, I want to ask Sandra, do you think, or how detached would you say that people are from reality, especially when they use social media? You see a lot of people becoming attached to a kind of lifestyle, or they start fantasizing a particular kind of lifestyle because they've seen too much of it on social media. In fact, there was a time that it felt like in this society, we started praising the Yahoo boys. I would say, maybe not praising, but enabling them, because they put out flashy cars, flashy lifestyle, and that's what we want to see. So how detached from reality would you say that people are when it comes to social media?
I think, again, a lot of people are, because of that need to belong, that need to be accepted within the society, within different contexts of groups that we find themselves. So you see people who are using social media as a way to escape reality, right? So it's so much easier for them to just go online and scroll and scroll and scroll, stay on that person's page that they find as an influencer or whatnot, stay on that page, and they just begin to use that as a way to cope. But I think that social media is replacing a lot of people's reality, because of what we want. I want to see it, and I want to see it now. I want this, and I want it now. And it has very huge impact on who we are as individuals. But most importantly, people use it as an escape. So this has obviously altered a lot of their reality, because when they go out, they begin to act as what they are seeing on social media, or whether they say fake it till you make it.
All right, thank you, Sandra. Eunice, now Gabriel mentioned before the break that it's important to educate people on the use of social media, why some of these trends are harmful. I would ask what you think or why you think digital literacy is essential for navigating online trends, especially for there are people who are influencers and are making money from it. That's a legit source of income for them. So most of these people need to understand a lot more about social media than they just see online. So why do you think digital literacy is important for navigating online trends?
Well, it's very important because I'm certain there are a percentage of these young people that act based off of ignorance, right? They don't know that, okay, what you do today affects tomorrow. They're just thinking of, oh, I want to trend today. I mean, that's all that matters to me. I don't care if it damages my future. In fact, I don't even know if I have a future, right? That's how some of them think, right? So I feel like if we educate them enough, and they also have to make the decision that, okay, this education, I'm going to take it seriously, because there's this saying, you can't take a horse to the stream and force it to drink water. There are certain youths now that are behaving badly. It doesn't mean their parents did not train them right. It doesn't mean their parents did not play their role. But they said, you know what, I'm going to do what I want to do, and whatever you've done in the past, no, while I'm an adult, I can make my decisions and whatnot, right? So I feel like, yeah, it's very important to educate them, but we should, I think maybe, I think it's psychologists, right, that work with like the mind and whatnot. So having psychologists to like speak to these people about, okay, I know you are doing this because your mind is thinking this way, or you feel like I just want short-term gratification instead of thinking long-term, right? So the education is not just about educating them about digital literacy, but we should also talk to psychologists, like people that will talk to them about their mind and change their mindset. I think that's the best phrase, change their mindset.
Okay. Okay. Coming back to Gabriel and what you said before the break, you talked about detox, and honestly, it's something I'm very big on. Digital detox. I talk about it all the time. Where once a while, sometimes for a week, sometimes for a month, I just keep my phone, do something else, read more books, talk to more people, just to interact with the real world. Why do you think that detox is important? Because you also mentioned that right now there's some apps you don't have on your phone, and there are certain things that you don't do at certain times. Why do you think that's important?
Right. It helps you to have sanity, actually. Sanity is the right word I can use. All right. So detoxing is just you staying off social media and keeping real with with reality around you. So I mentioned earlier that so at the beginning of this year, I had to delete 2 applications from my phone because I know that I want to hit the ground running. All right, so just using that phrase. So because I know that these ones would distract me, although there are some other applications that are very important to my work and to the things that I do on a daily basis, I stay on my phone. But detoxing is very important because you don't want that endless scrolling. You know, the endless scrolling sucks you into the application. Before you know it, you spend almost 1 hour. You just want to check maybe a post by someone sent you a link, from there you move to another thing. So detoxing helps you to keep balance. Detoxing helps you to maintain healthy digital lifestyle on using your phone, using gadgets generally, because sometimes we are easily distracted by this device and we are not productive when we are meant to be productive.
Okay, so that brings me to my next question, Sandra. How can individuals balance the benefits of online trends and engagement with the need for reassessment? So basically, how can we balance the benefits of using social media? Because let's not lie, social media has been helpful. It's helped promote your business, it's put you in the public eye, and all of that. But how can one balance the benefits of that with engaging with the real world, still staying in touch with the real world? There are some places, I think there's a restaurant where they say things like no phones allowed, so that you can come and interact with real people. Because now our physical interactions have reduced. We see thousands of people in a room and there's hardly 2 or 3 people talking to each other. Everyone is on their phone. It's just so convenient to look at your phone screen, see what's happening. So how can we balance that?
Very important to realize people and social media to help some experience and ways to be as you find you but in terms of finding the balance between social media and communicating because we are not cognizant of this.
Okay, Sandra, unfortunately, I think your network is is bad. We'll try and see if we can fix it from both ends. I'm hoping that we can get to hear what you were saying all over again. But while we try to fix that, let me just redirect the question to Eunice. Eunice, did you get the question? Would you like me to?
Could you repeat it?
Okay, so basically I'm just asking, how can we balance the benefits of online trends, social media, its advantages, with the need to stay in tune with reality?
Well, I'm a digital creator, right? And I still have my life. I still go to the gym. I still work like my job that provides money for me. I still speak to my friends, to my mom, my dad, and my family. And to be honest, I can't exactly explain how I still do it because I still read my Bible every day and pray to God. But I would always say this is a personal decision, right? Do you want to waste your life on social media? Or do you want to have like a real life? Just like you said, it's actually convenient to reach out to your phone. So there's this thing I do in the morning. When I wake up in the morning, I don't check my phone. Right, so once my alarm wakes me up and I turn it off, I stand up. So I get ready for the gym, go to the gym by 6 a.m. That is when I press my phone. So that first 1 hour of waking up, I don't touch my phone. And I learned this from Jay Shetty. I don't know if you guys know him. He has this On Purpose podcast. And the way he illustrated it, he said, imagine that you wake up in the morning and thousands of people run into your room. How would you feel? Now, that's how you feel when you press your phone when you wake up in the morning. And another thing I do is sometimes I put my phone inside my drawer. And I learned this from my colleague when he did one presentation at work. He said that's something he does. And I do it too. Because just like our host Blessing said, it's actually convenient and easy for you to reach out to your phone. And sometimes you might be working and you just be like, gosh, I need to press my phone. But when you keep your phone somewhere far away, right, you would now like bring yourself back to reality. Another thing that I think people can do is to try the Pomodoro technique. So it's like doing something for 25 minutes without distractions. So you set the time at 25 minutes. If you want to walk, you walk. If you want to wash, read a book, whatever, you do it, right? And once that timer stops, you say, okay, maybe I want to take 5 minutes break. And you can press your phone for 5 minutes, right? Or for that 5 minutes of pressing your phone, you can call a friend or you can do something different. So yeah, I feel like those are like ways that people can do that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much for that. Gabriel, let me quickly ask you, what do you think that our digital future is, looking at the trajectory that we are on with the new generation? Now we have Gen Zs, we've heard of Gen Alpha, and now there's a Gen Beta coming on the way. And if we continue with this pattern of people unashamedly just putting their lives out, and it's not just their lives now, their deepest secrets out in public for people to see, then what becomes of our future digitally?
Well, I think we are going to have a chaotic future if we continue to create content without measures, without boundaries, if we create content without setting boundaries, if we continue to post things without having an understanding of what is being posted, we are going to have a chaotic future. But I also believe that people are also doing research to understand how platforms are being used, how people post, how things are being created. And I also know that because of the work I do, there are various forms of platforms and education that are educating people to understand, and also interaction with governments to create safe spaces for people to have sane conversations. So it's in two ways. One, if we neglect to create the right education for people to understand how to use these devices or how to make conversation on this platform, then we will end badly. Because I realize that we have a lot of people jump onto social media or jump into the internet as a result of the lockdown. The lockdown gave birth to a lot of people into the social media or into using the internet. So, and as people came online, they had no understanding of what they were coming into. So they've started giving out information, they've started giving out all sorts of things before realizing that, oh, just like when Facebook came, I remember when Facebook came, all of us were just giving all out our information, giving out various kind of things. But I believe that with education at certain times, we began to understand that, oh, this is not good. So I'm going to say that if there are not enough education, there are not enough policies in place to guide or to help people act normal, then it's going to end badly.
Okay, thank you so much for that. Sandra, very quickly, can you confirm you can hear us? We're trying to see if your audio is stabilized now. We still can't hear you. We'll still try to fix that. Sincere apologies. We'll figure out if it's from your end or ours, and we'll try to fix that as well. Okay, very quickly, Eunice. Now, I also used to be of this school of thought back in the days until something happened to me. A lot of people would say things like, when they see people posting certain kind of things, the first reaction is, don't you have family? Doesn't she have a mother? Doesn't she have a father or a sister or that? But until recently, not recently, like a year ago, one of my relatives, I had no idea that I had been blocked from viewing the WhatsApp status until somebody started sending these things to me, and it felt like it was too late because every other thing I said just fell on deaf ears. And that's where it starts from. You know, the little post on WhatsApp status to see people's reaction, and then eventually it goes to more viewers and things like that. So what do you say at the end of the day that is the fault of the parents? Now, we know that in the same vein, there are people who have serious restrictions. The parents won't allow them use social media until a certain age. Do you think that helps? So would you say that all of this is the fault of the parent? The parents can do better in controlling how the children use social media?
Well, I wouldn't say it's the fault of the parents because, I mean, I watch a lot of podcasts and I can't remember the podcast, but they said something like, your parents didn't know better and they did all they knew how to do, right? So when they know better, they will do better. Like I said before, you could have good like education, good family background, and you still end up being the worst, right? So parents also have a role to play in this. I feel like a lot of parents don't have proper relationships with like their children. I also feel like a lot of parents are training children based off of how their parents train them, right? I think it was far back in 2019 when I went to like one of my aunt's house, and that was the first time I saw a parent reading a book on how to be a parent. I was amazed. And I started looking at like how she treated like the children. The children had everything they wanted, like chocolates, cake, and everything, like they had restrictions, right? So if the child like does something that wasn't allowed, she wouldn't be the child. She would just seize your game, seize your tablet or something. Like she would take something you love so that you will say that, oh, this thing, like because I love this thing, I want to change, I want to do better. So I feel like there are different, like, I mean, I'm not a parent yet, so please, I'm not telling her to train your child, but I'm just telling based off of like things I've seen, like videos I've watched. I feel like if parents did more learning, because they feel like only the children like should learn, go to primary school, secondary school, become better. But I feel like parents also need to learn more, right? They need to learn how to like train their children in recent times, because trust me, how your parents trained you then is not how to train a child now. You can't really beat a child now because they'll be like, you don't love me, you're beating me. But when I was younger, hey Jesus, I'm sure my mother is watching this, she'll be laughing. For my mother does not even need to beat you. She just look at you and you know that, no, what I did is wrong. But I feel like we don't have that now. So parents need to like read books, maybe watch videos. I don't know if there are courses, right? But parents need to learn how to train their children in recent times. And when you do that, you instill values, because I'm a Gen Z, right? But sometimes I don't act like Gen Z. I'm sure like this whole trend is because a lot of Gen Zs are doing this, but you will not see me do it. Why? Because I have values. My parents trained me well, but I still made the decision that I will not be wayward. I will have these values and I will align to them. So yeah.
Okay, thank you so much for that. Now, Gabriel, still in line with banning social media, regulation, and all that. I do know that as of November 2024, I don't know if any further action has been taken, but Australia is one of the countries that has signed it into law that children below 16 will be banned from using social media. Do you think that that is a good approach, considering the generation that we're training? You know, Eunice said something, the way you train children then is not, and the children of these days, trust me, they're built different. So do you think that's a right approach? Because some people are of the opinion that, oh, that's too harsh, you can't restrict them from the external world, they need to learn about the social life and all of that. What do you make of that?
All right, so you said below 16 in schools, right?
Yes.
Okay, so I feel that if it is schools, so there is a document that we've trained on called Digital Safeguarding Policies for Schools. So, and I think it's actually a good approach. Phones can be distracting, but not taking technology away from school now. Like you using phone in class, you using, people will take, for instance, one of the documentaries that we created, we interviewed somebody and the person said that even in school, a child of 14 years old was acting as boyfriend to girls in class and would lure them to the restroom and take videos of them, created a WhatsApp group or a Telegram group and was selling those content to the other classmates. Do you want to see this person's join this at a certain amount? So I totally agree that some devices should be restricted in schools, or there should be some policies by which schools agree with, even with parents understanding that this is what we do when it comes to devices. These are how devices are being used. This is when something happens. This is how you report. So it helps not just take them away from knowing how to use technology, but it creates boundaries to the kind of content that they create while in school, also helping them to focus on learning. School is for learning, because sometimes when people have access to phones, you may not see what they are accessing on their devices, and you may not see what they are also creating. So, but when it comes to maybe bigger devices where you can monitor, I think that's a way to go.
All right, thank you so much. Sandra, let me see if I can get your final thoughts on all of this. If you can hear us, let's confirm if you can hear you. So we can get your final opinion. What do you make of the conversation, especially banning social media for underage children?
Yes, I hear you loud and clear. Could you please confirm that you can hear me, please? Okay, great. Sounds great. So my final thought would be that I agree with what Gabriel has just said. I remember a school that I worked with, and one of the policies within the school is there are no cell phones allowed. You are allowed to bring your cell phone to school. However, you have timelines with your cell phone. So during break, you can use your cell phone, but you can use them during class hours. The only device allowed during class hours is your laptop, and it's only allowed to be opened when your teacher says, "Oh, we need to do this, we need to do that." You can pull up your laptop and make use of them. So I think it's very important, and most importantly, within the whole conversations, reproductive only, I think we all need to do better jobs, catering to the young people. Like Eunice mentioned earlier, I think one of the most important things we also need to educate young people on not just the digital literacy, it's also social skills, teaching them the importance of this technology, teaching them the importance of communication, dealing with people, and actually building healthy self-esteem. So I think these are some of the most important things that we need to focus on and take away from this entire conversation.
All right, that's a good place to end the conversation. I want to say thank you to our guest, Sandra Anyebi, a psychologist in Lagos, Nigeria, and of course our guest with us in the studio. We have Eunice Eze, a digital creator, and of course Gabriel Odunsi, a programs manager at Tech Societal. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for sharing your thoughts and your opinions. And we're really hoping that things get better in terms of helping the next generation understand the need for moral compass and the importance of digital footprint, and of course the most important being digital literacy. So once again, thank you so much for joining us on the show, and of course to our viewers, thank you for being here. Join us again in our subsequent episodes on Fafanwa Africa as we discuss the youths across the African continent, their opportunities, their challenges, and their agitations. Till then, my name is Blessings Mosuyu. Thanks for watching.